From a $250 million chocolate empire to a sour candy company that existed before its YouTuber knew it existed, this is the YouTuber brand tier list. MrBeast. Let's start with the obvious problem. MrBeast doesn't really have a chocolate company. He has a YouTube channel that happens to have a chocolate company attached to it. And then the chocolate company became profitable enough that the relationship started looking backwards. Reported investor documents showed Feastables doing roughly $250 million in sales in 2024 and more than $20 million in profit. The media operation, meanwhile, generated a similar amount of revenue and lost roughly $80 million. So the world's biggest YouTuber essentially built a chocolate bar that helps pay for videos that advertise the chocolate bar. This is no longer influencer marketing. This is a closed-loop attention reactor. Jimmy makes video. People watch Jimmy. Jimmy sells chocolate. Chocolate makes money. Money goes into Jimmy's videos. Jimmy makes bigger video. Bigger video sells more chocolate. Eventually, the chocolate bar is staring at the YouTube channel like, "You work for me now." And that's the real business. The chocolate isn't the moat. The audience is. Feastables reported more than $20 million in 2024 profit. MrBeast's media operation was reported at roughly an $80 million loss. Solid S tier. Logan Paul and KSI. If Feastables is a corporate machine, Prime is what happens when two internet personalities weaponize a rivalry. Logan Paul and KSI spent years cultivating the world's least peaceful friendship. They boxed each other. They argued. They became business partners. And then they released a drink. Prime reported $250 million in retail sales in 2022, barely a year and a half after launch. At one point, individual bottles were being listed online for $20, $50, even over $100. For hydration, a drink designed to prevent dehydration had somehow created a dehydration-related financial crisis. And the genius wasn't really the formula, it was the fandom. Traditional beverage company, here is our new sports drink. Prime. Two YouTubers you've been arguing about for 5 years made a drink. Solid S tier. Trahan. Ryan Trahan did not invent Joyride. That's the fun part. The company traces back to Project 7, founded in 2008. Ryan later joined Joyride as an investor, co-owner, and chief creative officer. So this isn't YouTuber invents candy. It's existing candy company discovers YouTuber and essentially installs him into the marketing department. Ryan worked on flavors, packaging, product development, and launch strategy. Then they launched, and the launch was basically a Ryan Trahan video. The audience watches entertainment. Eventually they discover, oh, there's candy in this. Joyride expanded into major retail, including a reported rollout to roughly 1,300 Target stores, and later expanded through other retailers. In 2025, Joyride raised $30 million. That's the point where this stops being YouTube merch. There are investors now. The Sour Strip has shareholders, and Ryan's audience can function as a gigantic focus group. Want to know which flavor people like? Ryan can ask millions of people. Traditional company. Focus group. Ryan. Upload video. Joyride was later reported as the #1 candy in Target's sugar candy category during a specified Nielsen period. Joyride's $30 million financing is public. Ryan's personal profit from the company is not. Solid A+. Emma Chamberlain. Emma Chamberlain built an empire around something she genuinely seemed to enjoy. Coffee, which sounds harmless. Until the coffee company starts doing around $20 million in annual revenue. Forbes reported roughly $20 million in Chamberlain coffee revenue in 2023 after nearly doubling revenue from 2022 to 2023, and then Emma became co-CEO, which means the girl who became famous filming herself making coffee eventually had to learn supply chains, hiring, operations, retail. The Cozy Kitchen vlog eventually develops a logistics department. Her original appeal was intimate. It felt like Emma is just drinking coffee. But corporate scale means somebody has to decide how much coffee gets manufactured and how many cans fit on a truck. Around $20 million in reported revenue in 2023. Profit was not publicly disclosed. Revenue is what the cash register says. Profit is what's left after everyone stops taking pieces of the cash register. Solid A tier. Marques Brownlee. MKBHD is where the creator economy becomes psychologically dangerous. Marques Brownlee's entire brand is based on one thing: trust. He reviews products. He tells you what's good. He tells you what's bad. Then he launched his own product. Panels was a wallpaper app. Suddenly, the audience could review him. The app attracted criticism over pricing, advertising, and launch decisions, and Brownlee eventually shut it down and announced plans around open sourcing the code. A normal company can release a bad app. MKBHD releases a bad app, and suddenly there's an existential question. Wait, does this guy have bad product judgment? That's different. Because the creator's credibility was the product. Panel's actual profit was never publicly established. B tier. Linus Tech Tips. Linus Tech Tips started as Linus Talks About Computers. It is now a diversified media company with hardware, retail, labs, staff, and multiple business lines. And then came the 2023 Gamers Nexus controversy. Questions were raised about testing practices, corrections, and editorial standards. Former employee Madison Reeve also made workplace allegations, followed by an external investigation and public discussion of what was substantiated and what wasn't. The important point isn't to declare one side the winner. It's that LTT demonstrates something nobody really talks about. Eventually, the YouTube channel becomes a workplace. And once your YouTube channel becomes a workplace, you have HR, policies, managers, employment disputes, testing standards, legal exposure. YouTube somehow becomes a corporation while still having to upload a thumbnail tomorrow morning. The exact LMG profit isn't publicly disclosed. Solid A tier. Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect is the palate cleanser. 5 guys, trick shots, sports, extremely clean branding, and then private investment arrived. In 2024, Dude Perfect announced a more than $100 million investment, while the company said revenue was expected to exceed $50 million that year, compared with $25 million in 2022. Which means somewhere, a private equity investor looked at 5 men throwing basketballs into things and said, "Yes, I want a piece of that." And honestly, it makes sense. The brand is family-friendly. It can work with advertisers. It can sell merchandise. It can do live events. It can expand into entertainment. Revenue was expected above $50 million. Profit wasn't publicly disclosed. Solid A+. Markiplier. And now we're leaving consumer products entirely. Markiplier decided he wanted to make a movie. Not a little YouTube movie. A real theatrical film, Iron Lung. Budget, roughly $3 million. Worldwide box office, roughly $51 million. That's roughly 17 times the production budget before marketing and distribution considerations. And the really insane part isn't even the box office. Markiplier used his existing audience to bypass the normal Hollywood discovery pipeline. A traditional filmmaker asks, "How do I get people to care about my movie?" Markiplier's problem was, which theaters are willing to show it? His audience already cared. So the YouTube channel effectively became the movie's advertising department and opening weekend audience. Box office minus production budget is not profit. Theaters, distributors, and marketing take their cuts. Solid S tier. Jake Paul. Jake Paul is what happens when a creator realizes he doesn't necessarily have to sell the fight. He can sell the fighting business. Paul co-founded Most Valuable Promotions. Now MVP promotes fights, manages fighters, and is expanding into MMA. And in 2026, the company is heading toward an even stranger arrangement in which Paul is positioned as both a fighter and a major stakeholder in the resulting MMA structure. Think about that. A YouTuber became a boxer, then a boxing promoter, then part owner of a sports business. The guy isn't just appearing in the event, he's helping own the event. And reported 2025 creator earnings for Jake Paul were around $50 million, but that's overall income, not MVP profit. MVP's actual profit isn't publicly disclosed. Solid A+. And that's the tier list. Which brand would you put in S tier? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.